Listen, it's a good game, but it's so goddamn padded that I just can't say it's great. That's one of those things I just had to stomach once I grew up. Because as a kid, you aren't even thinking about padding or backtracking, you're just playing a video game. For example, Chapter 7 in Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door has an entire half-hour journey where you have to revisit all the worlds. I thought this was really cool when I was 6. I was 6. It's one of those things when you gotta realize, even if the game is good, there's a blatant flaw sitting here that we just can't ignore. I still have a good time with this game, but the magic disappears from this game quite a bit, especially now that I've analyzed video games for years now. In fact, I go so far to say that this game nowadays probably wouldn't have even gotten a physical release. It would have just been released as a $20 digital game. Yes, I know this was disproven in 2018. We'll get to it when we get to it. However, there's one aspect of Luigi's Mansion that I felt as a kid and still feel strongly about to this day. The world and graphics this game presents are just phenomenal. The environments are so goddamn fascinating to me, and I can tell you that magic never went away from me and probably never will. This is really hard to describe because I don't even feel like I'm talking about the game in a way. I'm talking about an emotion that this game provokes. So bear with me, I'm gonna do my best. I mean, I've already talked about it here or there throughout this video anyways. The quasi-realistic feel this game presents just gives it a charm and tone that just wasn't seen in a Mario or even Nintendo game up until then. Future Luigi's Mansion games could come close to this at points, but never really recaptured it in the same way. Looking at the Ghosts in Dark Moon or 3, they are more like Minion movies. The whole game feels like a cartoon. There's no element of horror at all, to be completely honest with you. But Luigi's Mansion 1 finds such a good line between spooky and cartoony. It's still dramatic, there are still the funny moments, but it's never so cartoony that you feel disillusioned with the mansion or lose touch with the chills running down your spine. The game always keeps you on your toes, whether the power goes out or the occasional jump scare or stuff like the psychopathic butler. By and large, you really do feel the stakes here as Luigi. I think this is because the mansion is so realistic and grounded. The player can associate it with the real world that they live in, because as I said earlier, the rooms in Luigi's Mansion are rooms you might walk into in an actual house, and the ghosts are based on people you might actually know. Besides Jarvis. So I might be repeating myself a bit through this video, but it's hard not to. It's just the identity that Luigi's Mansion has. It means that the flaws that this game does have are sort of forgivable, because at least in my opinion, it's something so unique that even in 2022, this game still has a certain charm to it. Like, I love moments like this, where you can see the toad you met on the balcony from Lydia's room, and then once you get to the graveyard, you see that same area if you look back. It reminds you that this is one cohesive world, something Super Mario Sunshine would later take inspiration from. The sound and music direction work so well for what this game is as well. Now, there's only one main song when you're exploring the mansion, but man, that song is good and such an earworm. I mean, that's probably half the reason people even remember this game, let's be honest. And this is countered so well by the calming songs that play when you're with EGAT or at his gallery. So it makes everything else seem so much scarier by comparison. There are other songs, sure, like the boss fights and little jingles here or there, but nothing as memorable as the main theme. The sound effects help fit you into the world too. The vacuum is basically as loud as the same feedback you're giving the trigger button, and when you check an object, you get a little sound. I don't know what to call it. And Luigi as a character himself complements this too. Whether he's whistling the main theme in the lighter rooms or screaming out for his brother when his HP gets low, he feels like an integral part of the player's journey. One thing you can do is take out the Game Boy Horror to investigate a given room. This has other functions like the map and telling you your money count, but you can also use it to interact with any objects. This is of course how you check the ghost hearts, but Luigi can also check, say, a random poster on the wall and get a little blurb of what Luigi says. It's a picture, but I wouldn't call it art. Luigi predicted NFTs. Now, a lot of these lines of dialogue can be fairly cookie cutter and maybe a bit repetitive, but just the fact that it exists at all, in my opinion, provides a lot of depth to the entire game. Like, you could be a snob and say, who cares? I know the responses are kind of similar. I am beyond this. Or you could take it for what it is and imagine Luigi's just a real guy, you know, giving his commentary with you as the adventure continues. Luigi's Mansion is what you choose to make of it. The money system is a perfect example of that too. I mean, sure, you can view the money as worthless, or you can view it as a high score and try to max out your painting portraits on each playthrough. You can go for the gold paintings, or if you just want to breeze through the game and get to the end, I mean, you can focus that. And ultimately, you can choose to view this game as a tech demo out to have something on the GameCube, or you can see it in the lens of this game as a genuine, unique experience that stands on its own in a lot of ways, even into the 2020s. But nostalgia is not going to help us run from some of the bigger flaws. The biggest problem with this game, besides the backtracking, is just while this game is really good and memorable, it's really short. And at the end of the day, while it's an enjoyable time, when nearly a third third of it is dedicated to chasing boos and running down the stair to get like a fire element. I can see why some people don't like this game. I think it's even fair to say that this game, being as good as I think it is, can very well be rooted in nostalgia, because that feeling I talk about, well, I truly mean it. It's just that, a feeling, and one that if someone picked up the controller and played this game for the first time nowadays, they might not share it. So did nostalgia cloud our judgment for whether or not Luigi's Mansion is a good game? I think it has to an extent. It's a good but underdeveloped game, but to those who enjoy it and see the beauty in it, it's something special, which is why it's so easy to love it to the amount many do. I feel like I'm on the opposite of Pac-Man World 2. When I reviewed that game a few months ago and didn't like it that much, it is kind of important to note that while I did play it a little bit as a kid, I didn't play it all that much and I never beat it. If someone had those sentiments towards Luigi Mansion that I had towards Pac-Man World 2, which was I thought the game was really overrated, if I removed my bias towards Luigi's Mansion, I think it'd be fair, and I'm gonna have to try to understand those opinions as well.
Alright, well, I've said pretty much everything I think I can say about a 3-hour game, so let's go say Mario, because we need to sell some GameCubes desperately.